The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past is a pretty big deal for a lot of people. For some, it's their favorite Zelda game, or it was their first, and for whatever reason, they just like the shit out of it. Maybe because of the pink hair, I don't know, that's why I like it. But a sequel comes along, A Link Between Worlds, and it feels pretty different. Could it be the orange hair? No, it's because of Ravio. Let's break it down. The Legend of Zelda: A Link Between Worlds is a return to the same map featured in The Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past and a very similar top-down adventure feel. However, some very specific changes have been made. Unlike in most Zelda games, most of the special items must be rented or bought from Ravio's shop, as opposed to finding them within a dungeon. Instead of having ammo for things like bombs and arrows, each weapon pulls from Link's steadily refilling magic pool. While A Link Between Worlds carries the Zelda legacy onward, it still insists on making a name for itself. But is it rated S? For those unawares, Ravio is this delightful little purple man who shows up in the expository moments of A Link Between Worlds. He ends up in your house, kinda pushes you out of it, turns it into a rental shop, throws out all your shit, puts a sign on the front, and now you got yourself a business house. Dude's a go-getter. Due to the focus of this video, I'm not going to be talking about it much, but Ravio's main story, Raison d'etre, is giving you this bracelet which allows Link to adhere to walls. It's a fun mechanic that further distinguishes A Link Between Worlds from other Zelda games, but I won't be talking about it much here. After you've learned the power of the bracelet and of Ravio's pervasively persistent peddling practices, Old Man Sahasrahla is all like, "Link, you must gather the 3 magic pendants so that you may wield the Master Sword and stop all this bad shit." Zelda already gave you one cause she's got that sweet, sweet foresight, leaving you just 2 to be recovered from the Tower of Hera and the House of Gales. This is where you are first introduced to the glorious freedom of A Link Between Worlds. You can either go to the Tower of Hera or the House of Gales first. Doesn't matter which one, it's up to you, your decision. Either way, you must venture out into the world and explore to find a way to gain entrance to the dungeon. The Power Glove is required to get into the Tower of Hera, and the Flippers are required to get into the House of Gales. By the time you've acquired both items, you'll have seen a good 60% of the map at the very least, unless you use some kind of secret Hyrulean travel agency and fast-track yourself straight to the place. But I don't think that exists. This might not seem like a big deal, but it'll come into play later on. You can get one item, then do a dungeon, and then get the other and do another, or you can get both and do both. It's up to you. The only thing you have to do is rent the hammer and the wind rod at some point from Ravio's shop. Instead of being given the Power Glove or the Flippers, then making your way through a dungeon to get the hammer rod or the wind rod, you can rent the hammer and the wind rod, and anything else, explore the world, then make your way through the dungeons. Each dungeon still makes liberal use of each item, but you're given far more time to play around with them because you could have picked them up at any time. Once you've acquired the ever-glorious Master Sword, you'll take it to Hyrule Castle to stop this game's bad guy, Yuga. Then you're off to save Hyrule from this artsy-fartsy little shartsy, but you don't. Because lo and behold, the game is longer than 2 hours. You get to explore Hyrule for as long as you'd like before eventually going to fight Yuga. You might see some places that you can't quite make it to, and that should pique your curiosity. But once you finally do fight him, you'll be taken to the dark, depressing place that is the Kingdom of Lorule. And despite being parallel worlds, Hyrule, Lorule, kinda just having a, well, let's see how the other half lives.
Hey. Recall that Ravio's shop and the efforts required to get through the first 2 dungeons give you a sizable opportunity to explore. Unlike Hyrule, Lorule is broken in many places, and not just cosmetically. The locations of the 7 sage paintings and the dungeons that house them are immediately shown on the map on your arrival, but the only easy dungeon to enter is the Thieves' Hideout. The rest are blocked by walls, or item puzzles, or the aforementioned giant chasm. So instead of just walking everywhere like you would in Hyrule, you're constantly stopped by nature.
Lorule and Hyrule are on parallel paths. They're parallel worlds, hence how Yuga and now Link is able to slip between them so easily. However, Lorule's layout is drastically different thanks to all the sadness, destruction, and generally messed up shit. To add insult to injury, now there's all these evil looking ruptures everywhere. Oh, well, those are helpful.
The entire kingdom thus becomes a puzzle, composed of smaller puzzles, most of which require knowledge of Hyrule to complete. Not puzzles like the infamous 3-block puzzle, but like an exploration puzzle. If an area is completely surrounded by walls in Lorule, you'll have to find a way into it while in Hyrule, and vice versa. For instance, let's take the Desert Palace area. You can access it just by walking through Hyrule as it goes up there in Happyville, but eventually you hit a wall, and you can't lift it. Since there's no Temple of Time to just chillax in and come back with giant muscles, the solution must be elsewhere. Here, it's here in Lorule. Once you go through the rift though, Hilda notes that there's no desert in Lorule, but you know, she doesn't know shit because there's sand right there. I'll save you the specifics, but by using the sand rod to gain access to the rifts in Hyrule, you can access the seemingly impossible to reach areas in Lorule. Almost every area in Lorule employs the same concept in some fashion to ensure that every new place you visit, there'll be a puzzle waiting for you no matter where you've been before.
Therein lies the elegance of Lorule's depressing design. Anywhere you want to go, you can go. You don't have to beat things in any order, you don't have to find that one NPC with whom a conversation magically allows you to progress. You can eventually find your way anywhere. If there's an item puzzle you need to solve, go ahead, get the item and solve it. Ravio's got your back, although if you want to see him again, you'll have to go back to Hyrule.
You'll note that Ravio's shop does not exist in Lorule, and neither does the My Mama. She lives in this inconspicuous cave with the 2 dots on it, in a totally natural formation there, I'm sure, but you want to visit her often, because if you collect her children and give them back to her, well, she'll upgrade your shit for free! Keeping with the theme of doing whatever the fuck you want, any special item Ravio has can be upgraded. In past Zelda games, only certain items have upgraded forms, and usually required being found in a dungeon or in the overworld. Yet again, the design is pushed towards open-ended exploration, incentivizing you to visit each area and locate the Mai-Mais. However, you can't upgrade the items that Ravio rents to you, only the ones that you buy from him. Finally, a Zelda game that makes use of all these fucking rupees. But of course, since you're constantly exploring, finding secrets, and because you have the items or can have the items required to find and or acquire those secrets, more or less at any time, you're going to be getting a lot of rupees. So while of course you're going to value the boss battles, the dungeon puzzles, the story itself, there's also plenty of value in just adventuring. You know, it's almost like Ravio's inclusion guided the entire open-ended nature of the design of the game a way that is exactly what it did. Simply by being able to have any item at any time allows you to do whatever the fuck you want. And because you're constantly finding productive resources, doing whatever the hell you want, going wherever you want, is constantly productive. But Ravio's inclusion is not just a justification for the gameplay mechanics, he's also a core part of the theme.
The severity of the situation in Lorule has a far grander impact because you can explore it so freely. Since you have to explore Hyrule and Lorule and often will visit them back to back in similar areas, the differences between the 2 kingdoms is impossible to escape.
A Link Between Worlds is the story of a combined effort between a purple businessman and a green adventurer. Without each other, it's just another sword guy who saved another kingdom.
But together, it's a completely unique take on the Legend of Zelda experience. Lorule could have been a dark, look-alike, and edgy interpretation of the holy and untouched Hyrule, but Ravio's shop makes it much more than that. It's a playground for an adventurer who simply wants to adventure.
Any game that can not only coerce you into exploring its every inch, but properly reward you for it, is doing an incredible thing. So absolutely, A Legend of Zelda, A Link Between Worlds is rated S.
Rated S for Sunder.
Hey everybody, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. And, of course, before anything else, a gigantic shout out to Jimmy, aka Sunder, for participating in this video, playing the part of Lorule, I guess. I don't know, that's how I wrote him anyway. So, if you like the video, don't forget to like it with the little button and the thumb and the positivity, and leave a comment about how you feel about the fact that we say Ravio and Ravio differently. Because I know that everybody wants to talk about that. Oh god. But if you want to just not do that, or do that and then do more things, there is a video between Sunder and I on his channel, and it's an episode of his Levelhead series about the dungeon known as the Tower of Hera. So, You should watch that out. You should watch that. And I'm gonna stop talking.